All right, folks, it is Monday night. It is time for another live Q&A. And yeah, we have been having fun today. Well, some of us have been having fun today. Writing songs, writing aviation songs. Well, asking AI to write aviation songs to remember items. We'll see. This might end up being something very funny or something completely useless. But yeah. Where are we at? It's Monday. It's time for live Q&A. So if you have a drone question, you can put it down in the comments. Jason is in the office going through all of those, feeding them to me, and then we're going to answer all of them. So I'm sure there's going to be, I see already a lot of Rick Scott mentions over there. And yeah, rightfully so. Sorry. What? Okay. Let's say hi to a bunch of folks here. We have USA Drone Flyers. We have Mike Fingerlakes from New York. Curtis Warren. Kit Kat is here. Give me a piece. What up to math? Math is a beautiful thing.
He says, "What up, dude?"
I said, "What up?" Well, I'm not there yet. Let me read them in order. King Trex is here. What else? Thumb Drone, Richard Hooker, as always. We have Atlantic Aerial Image, Stinker 337, Just Johnny, Alpha Deja, Dave DeVore, Jason Williams. You know, the problem with all these usernames, they don't give me the full name anymore. I don't know where the spaces are. Minot from Engineer Drone Services. We have Keith from Alien Drones. What's up, Keith? We have Alexander Blankenship, James Cox, Ralph is here, Leo de Cordanis is here, Steve A, Tech. We have Surfing in the City. Tech is here, I said that. Ralph and Dr. Gonstead. We have Joshua. We have Avian, something hard to read. Lawrence. We have Cajun Green Man. I would like to know the story behind some of these names. Sometimes we're going to have to ask. We're going to pick one person. Ben, we're going to do this every week. We're going to pick one person and we're going to ask them the origin of their screen name. How's that? Because some of them I want to know. Like Cajun Green Man, I want to know where that came from.
It's from Louisiana, son.
I know, but why green? Anyways.
Louisiana's green.
Ish. STL Woodworker. See, that's another one because I bet you he uses STL file to do woodworking, which means he has a CNC router. Lilik Jaya is here. Paul Donovan, Fire Chief, is also here. Jeff Hannon, Jim Schlusserman. We have Mr. Ian Moon. We have, who else? Drone Eagle, Cloud Camper, Bem. We have, whoa, that just jumped. Minnesota Vance. Donovan is here. We have practicing photography. Pioneer Drone Operations. Macro Acquire. I think I jumped a bunch of people. Oh, James is here. James Van Boeven. That's our good old friend James. Who else? David Bell. Vista Prime Media is here. Anyways, bunch of folks. Welcome. Thank you. I see a whole lot of questions already, so I think we're going to get started. Here with the questions, I'm going to take a quick sip. Amy, are you working on the music video yet? The answer is no. All right. King Trex says, sorry, I'm back to almost normal, but I still have kind of a stuffy nose, so I might still be coughing a couple times. Oh, STL is St. Louis, so St. Louis Woodworker, not working with a... See, making assumptions, Ben, and you're wrong. And you were wrong.
Hey, you want a cup of water?
I have a cup of water, but we'll see how far this takes us. Okay, this is from King Trex. How do you describe flying over people? And if your drone has prop guards like the flip, can you do it like in places as the beach? Okay, so flying over people is defined very simply. Anytime the drone is over a part of a human body, it is considered flying over people. Prop guards is part of the equation if you want to fly over people, but the drone also has to be under 250 grams. So if the drone is sub 250 and it has prop guards, then you are good to go. That's that. Curiosity for you builders, what components do you all think are going to get hard to get? What should I stock up on? That's a tough one. Motors are starting to show up on that list. We've seen that last year with some motor manufacturers. I think really components that are coming from China are going to be harder to get. Excuse me. But we'll see kind of what happens. Yeah, that. I mean, it's hard because everybody right now wants to look cool, and so everybody's kind of trying to come up with their own restrictions on the U.S. population, and so it depends on who gets very creative and try to ban some of these drone components. My Mini 4, the obstacle avoidance don't sound an alarm. Interesting. Can the alarm be turned off? I need to turn the sound back on. How do I do this? Ralph, it depends if you are using a controller or if you are using, if you're using the controller with a screen in it or if you're putting the phone into it. If you're putting your phone, I would check the settings on your phone, make sure it's not on silent or something. If you're using the controller, there's also a sound setting in the control. Typically, you swipe from the top down, kind of like you do on an iPhone to get to the top settings. And then there should be a way to kind of bump up the volume. So that would be my guess. Maybe, this is what happens. But yeah. Mr. Ian Moon says, so now that Rick Scott will want to start a ban on vacuum cleaners starting tomorrow. Probably. I mean, don't give the man any ideas. He's already full of them. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what that guy's problem is. He's been hating the drone community for years now, coming up with the absolute dumbest proposed regulation. Thankfully, he hasn't been successful to date. Bit of a loser. And yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens next. But yeah, definitely not somebody that I have high esteem for. Is there a thermal camera I can mount onto my drone to get thermal images when I need without buying another drone? If not, what is a good starter drone for thermal? So you can mount a camera. The only downside is you won't be able to see the feed live unless you start to install a bunch of transmitters, which gets expensive. So you could capture that data. You'd have to go and look at it afterwards, land the drone, pull up the data, look at the data. So it's not super extremely useful if you need stuff live. As far as a good starter thermal drone, I would look into, there are some older DJI Enterprise, the Mavic 2 Enterprise. If you can find one used that are probably a good deal. It depends on your budget, of course. But we have the Mavic 3 thermal here in the office. Amazing drone. The Matrice 4 thermal, obviously amazing drone as well. The Autel drone as well has a great thermal camera. You could look for an Anafi an Anafi thermal, which are slightly older now. Not as good of a quality, but probably a little bit cheaper, and not DJI or Autel. Past that, as far as affordability, that's kind of about it. I'm new to drones and took the trust test, and I've heard the Part 107 license is harder now. Is that really that hard? It's not any harder than it has been for a decade, quite frankly. The FAA added a little bit of stuff to the regulation a couple of years ago, but we cover all of that in the course. There's no our pass rate or fail rate, I should say, our pass rate has not changed in the last 8 years that we've been teaching Part 107. So the license has not gotten harder. What's gotten harder is people are not, I think, studying as much, thinking that they can pass because they listen to people in forums that tell them, oh, you can self-study and pass. And 1 in 3 people that self-study fail the exam. So if you have good training, you'll be fine. I tried to buy a DJI Mavic 4 Pro, but now I'm wondering if it's worth it. The price is pretty steep, ranging from 2.7 to 4K. That's not the resolution. That's the price. $2,700. Wait until they come up with a Mavic 4 Pro 8K. Psh. Do you have the soundtrack over there to make fun noise? Anyways, Cornelius says, should I wait until December to see the DJI MSRP 2K on the website? I don't think the pricing is going down on any DJI drone anytime soon. If DJI ends up on the FCC list, because it means that drones are going to be even more scarce and they're in high demand because they're great drones. So my guess is that the price is going up rather than going down anytime soon. So next, Ola from Central Texas, land of drone tyranny, regarding helping hunters recover deer and other wildlife. Yeah, that's something that I don't understand. Now, with that being said, I'm not a hunter, so I don't understand the whole reason why drones can be used to recover deer or wildlife. I think Jason tried to explain it to me, which somewhat made sense, maybe a little bit, but to me, if you killed something, it'd probably be better if you're able to go retrieve it and do whatever you want with it. But yeah, so I don't get it. It's not the only state, by the way. Texas is not the only state. There's a lot of states that do that. Maybe somebody has a good reasoning in the comments to explain how that works. Jay Carrillo says, hello from Oregon. With everything happening with DJI, do you still recommend purchasing these drones for photography and videography purposes? What would be another brand that is dependable besides DJI? Well, see, that's the issue, is that for photography and videography, there's not a whole lot of brands out there that are dependable, reliable, and available. So do I still recommend buying a DJI drone? Absolutely. We just bought a Mini 5 Pro here. We received it last week. And we intend on flying it. So if you can get your hands on one, it's still the best platform available out there. Sometimes the only type of platform available out there. Been out of the loop. Does it still make sense to get the Part 107, or will there be something else soon? There's no replacement for Part 107. You may have heard of Part 108, which is additional regulation that is currently being written that would allow to fly beyond visual line of sight. But Part 107 to fly within visual line of sight is still the rule and the only rule. And I don't see that changing anytime soon. So yes, it is still absolutely worth it. Another question, more of an announcement. The Fire Department of New York saves a person in distress in the water using a DJI M30T and dropping a personal flotation device. I think I saw something quickly on LinkedIn about this today. I didn't watch the whole video, but that's cool. Always love to hear when drones are being used for good and saving lives, and especially in this case where it is a DJI drone. Would a DJI ban apply to the use of their drone product or any of their sales? Wait. It would only apply at the moment. The current list, the FCC list that they would be put on, would prevent them from getting future models approved. So it does not affect the use or the sale of these drones. It only affects the future sales, the future approval of future models. So it could affect the sales of future models that have not been approved yet. Roncon says, if I have my Part 107 and can do a job with my drone, can I borrow, rent one to use even though it's registered to somebody else? That's a good question. Yes, absolutely, you can. Just think about it like your car, right? You register your car to your name, but if you have a friend visiting in town and you say, hey, just borrow my car and go run errands, it's legal because the car is registered. It's not registered under your name, but they can still drive it. So yes, you could still fly somebody else's drone as long as it is registered properly under Part 107. Is the Zenmuse L2 payload the best for LiDAR survey? We have money to spend at the school I work at and trying to figure out which way to go for LiDAR for my Part 107 class. I mean, the L2 is definitely top of the line, LiDAR units. I'm not a LiDAR expert, with that being said, so I'm sure there's other products as well. I guess my question would be, what do you have to carry the payload? This is just a payload. So if you have a matrice, 350, 400, absolutely, I would probably get something from DJI to stay in the ecosystem. So, yep. UAS. Oh my God. Sorry. I'm trying to get this thing cat out of my throat. Good to be here. Any update on the DJI ban? Nothing new. Will the Neo 2 be affected? Question mark. I don't know. I mean, I've seen rumors on the Neo 2. I don't know if it's been approved by the FCC yet. With that being said, the last 2 drones that have been released have not been released in the United States. So I highly doubt that the Neo 2 is going to be released in the United States, but we shall see. What's the status of the Pilot Institute stickers? My free one expired. Excited for the paid ones. We will send you a new set of stickers, even for free. If you send us an email, you have to do it by email. You can't use the website. I live on the very edge of a flight restricted zone in Alabama and only really fly below treetops. Okay. Is it normal to not get flight clearance with the government shutdown? It seems to be. No, you should still be able to get. So restricted zone, it depends on. It depends on the type of restriction. So flight restricted zone can be a lot of different things. If it's a zone that requires additional approval from the FAA, in the sense that you would need to submit a request and then somebody would have to review it, then yes, this would be not something that you can get at the moment. But otherwise, you should be good. So next, Macro Acquire says, is there any free apps to track drone activity around my location at that time? Yeah, there's, Drone Scanner is one of them you can download. Not overly super duper reliable. It's not the app issue. I think it's the technology that's not super reliable in general. So I would say give that a shot and see what happens. Hold on. Next. This is going to sound like I'm grunting the whole time. So on the flying over people, if the drone has a failure and starts dropping like a rock and the trajectory takes to a person and hits them, it is technically over people. Yes. If you hit someone, it means that at one point you were over them and that would be qualified. So that's why I always tell people to keep in mind momentum and the fact that if something fails, like you said, it's going to keep on going, probably moving forward, and potentially could hit someone. So if we're flying near people and we're not allowed to fly over them, then I'm going to have a cone of safety where if something happens to the drone, then it's not going to, hit them. Does the Neo 2 have remote ID? Well, we don't know yet. We don't know yet because it hasn't been released. Next, is the anti-gravity drone Chinese? Yes, it is. Will it be available in the United States? Yes, it is going to be available if it's not available already. Is it potentially going to be in trouble next year? Yeah, maybe, because they're trying to push this language in the 2025 NDAA that what's happening to DJI and Autel would also happen to any Chinese drone company, meaning that they would have to get an audit done. And if they don't, then they end up on the same entity list. So they're doing the same BS that they did with DJI and Autel, and adding and trying to cover basically anyone who makes drones and is not in the and is Chinese. So that Rick Scott's new expedited ban request got a matrice for this year, and believe that it was released in January. Not sure about FCC approval. Does it have? Well, okay, so it's not paperweight. Even if Rick Scott's BS goes through, which it won't, or very light chance that it will. The Matrice 4 was approved way before all of that, so it would not be covered under what Rick Scott is proposing. As far as I'm concerned, as far as the research that I've done, there's only one model that has been approved after what Rick Scott is proposing, and that's the Mini 5 Pro. So that would be the only thing affected. Even the Mavic 4 was approved before all of that, before December of 2024. Remember, when we see the drone being released, typically it's already been approved by the FCC for several months already. Any thoughts on before you fly UA Sidekick and Autopilot? Would like your feedback for pros and cons. I haven't used them. We use only Aloft for products for airspace, so I can't really tell you. I mean, we did use UA Sidekick for a while, but I think it came with a monthly fee. I don't know if that's still the case, so something to look into. And then Autopilot I've never used. So if you have a certificate of waiver, COW, to fly beyond visual line of sight, and you're in flight and are currently flying as under Part 107 rules, can you just continue your flight and change from 107 rules to your COW and fly BVLOS? No, typically the FAA does not allow you to change flight rules once you take off. So when you take off, those are the rules that you follow. Now, if you have a COW, then just fly under that COW, and then you should be okay. I guess I'm not understanding the situation in which you would want to do that. Mayday Drone Media says, I recently pled no contest to a felony, non-adjudicated. Okay. The offense was not drug or alcohol related. What kind of scrutiny is my Part 107 license facing? You'll be fine if it's not drug or alcohol related. So that's all I can say. That's how it's written in the regulation. Just started. I went to a house to do a video for myself, and the house was next to a base. Okay. I didn't let my drone go up at all. Anyway, to set up the drone to go up anyways. I don't understand the question. Let's do that again. I went to a house, do a video for myself, and the house was next to the base, and I didn't let the drone, it didn't let the drone go up at all. If it's next to a base, probably not, because you would need to get approval. So you'd have, I don't know who the drone manufacturer is, but they likely have some sort of geofencing. So in this case, you would need to get approval from the manufacturer to fly in that area. Jeff SAV says, I'm confused on the audio review with regards to regulation. You said that I can transition over humans without remote ID, but doesn't category drone require remote ID? Is the review have an error? It's confusing because for a short period of time when we recorded that audio review, remote ID was not a thing yet. And so at that time, you did not need to have remote ID. Now you need to have remote ID now to fly anywhere and everywhere. But at the time, to transition over human beings, it did not require remote ID, as opposed to flying over open air assembly, which needed remote ID. So that's where the distinction came from. So yes, it does need remote ID regardless, even for transitioning. We'll update that. If you can leave a note, if you don't mind, in that section, we'll cut out that little bit of the audio review. Any suggestion for a thermal camera and a speaker for the DJI Air 3S? There's no way to attach a different camera, a different payload, or speaker equipment to the Air 3S. So typically that kind of stuff is done with an enterprise type of drone. So you would need a matrice level drone typically to do that kind of stuff. Made over 90 thanks to Pilot Institute, says Metro TX News. TXK News. Awesome. Congratulations. That's awesome. Love to hear. Is the DJI Mavic 4 Pro worth buying with the US ban issue? I still think it's a good drone. I think it's if it's a drone that you like, I definitely would not hold back. Hello from Oregon. With everything happening with DJI, do you still recommend purchasing these drones for photography and videography purposes? I answered that question already. So there's no other brand that is comparable to DJI. As a matter of fact, for some models, there's no equivalent drones at all. So the Air series and the Mavic series don't really have competition when it comes to drones for recreational and for pro users. So unless you go and purchase something that's $30,000 or $40,000, which is obviously not comparable to the Mavic and the Air series. Hello from Oregon. With everything happening, no, I just said that. Okay, one more time. Boop. Right here. Have you ever flown or tested the Swan K1 VTOL? I cannot say that I have. Sounds cool though. VTOL, it's cool. Did you guys see the new world record for a speed drone is now 343 miles an hour? Holy smokes. Yeah, holy smokes indeed. That's crazy. 343 miles an hour. Is it the same company that did it before? I think the one that they had was the one that was chasing the Formula Ones, if I remember correctly. That's pretty crazy. Any DJI Avata 3, I'm guessing, update on this year? I have not heard anything on that, so we'll see. Does the Mini 5 Pro need the Pro remote to get the most range out of it? No, typically whatever comes, even the base model gets you the same range as everything else. Is there any non-DJI batteries or prop that you can trust? I have a hard time with that. I have a hard time with non-OEM props and non-OEM batteries, just because DJI spends so much time and money on engineering and getting these. And I can say this, we have, I don't know how many drones we have now, but like 20, 30 drones maybe, probably 30 drones. I don't think, and knock on wood, I don't think we've ever had a failure of a DJI battery or a DJI battery swelling, except maybe one. Okay. We've had plenty of granted they're not drone batteries, but we had plenty of non-drone, non-DJI batteries swelling and not doing good. So, yeah, I don't know. To me, over the years, they've proven that they have the ability to create batteries that are long lasting. So, what movies are you starring in with that stash? You don't want to know. I just got on camera and realized that I didn't shave today. See, this is what happens. So sometimes I record like every day, so I have to shave every day. And then when I don't have to record, and I don't shave because I'm lazy. And so when you see me like this, it's because I haven't recorded. And then this is Monday, so typically I don't shave on Friday, Saturday, Sunday because I don't record on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So that's what you get. But I think we're going to record Thursday, so it might be another couple of days of this. It's winter. It's getting colder. It keeps me warm. Not really. Is there an infrared certification outside of ITC? Yeah, I mean, ITC did not invent the certification. The infrared certification is actually following an ASTM standard. So any company that has a curriculum that follows ASTM standard can issue the infrared certification, the level 1, level 2, level 3 certification. So look for other companies that provide the service. As long as they follow the ASTM standards, then it should provide the same. By the way, that certification is a bit of a self-certification, if you want. The company that provides the training are the ones that self-certify that they are providing the training up to the standard. So there's that. What are your thoughts on US companies offering the Mavic 4 Pro and other DJI drones? Are they all refurbished? No, I don't think so. They've just been able to find a supplier to bring the drone to the United States and be able to sell it in the US, which is perfectly legal. So no, from what I've seen, all of these drones are just drones that were acquired somehow. I don't know how. Can I be in trouble if I use my drone to fly near drug dealers on the corner to anger them? Never heard that one. No, anything you can do to just be careful, please. Drug dealers are not the kindest of people. So, but no, absolutely not. Just don't fly over people. Don't fly over people in moving vehicles. Um, yeah. Okay. Sorry if this was asked before. Do you have any insight? And by the way, if you see drug dealers around the corner, I would just call law enforcement and let them deal with it. That just an afterthought. Sorry if this was asked before. Do you have any insight to universal RTK that straps to your drone? Ooh, that's a tough one. So, no, because think about it this way: the RTK data, the RTK module that you put on the drone has to talk to the drone. It's not just sitting on top of the drone. It's sitting on top of the drone, capturing data from the RTK stuff on the ground, and it's providing it to the drone so that it can embed that information into the images. So you need a way to communicate between the drone and the RTK module on top of your drone. This is why enterprise DJI drones, for example, have a USB plug that the RTK unit plugs into so that it can interface with the unit. So there's not really, unless I'm missing something, there's no such thing as a something that straps onto your drone and just sits there. It needs to be connected, and for that you need to have the technology that allows it to connect with the drone. Sorry. Best drones to get for commercial purposes: mapping, inspection, photo, video, to start a business. Well, again, I know with all the DJI stuff that's going around, but it still is the best possible platform that you can get at the moment. It depends on your budget. So you can get quotes. You can go and talk to drone providers, drone resellers, and tell them what you want to do, and then let them give you some quotes on a variety of different items. We're actually in the middle of purchasing drones right now for one of our offerings, and that's exactly what we did. And yeah. Do you feel that the Part 107 test will be available online? No, I don't see that happening anytime soon. The test itself for Part 107 leads to an FAA certificate, and so as such, it needs to follow the procedures that the FAA has in place. Until somebody can figure out how to do proctoring at home that the FAA is comfortable with, then it's not going to happen online. Have you seen a significant slowdown in FAA waivers or support to do with the government shutdown? Yeah, absolutely. We just had a meeting last week with a group that we're part of, and that was a subject of discussion, is the waivers. It looks like they're still approving waivers, so I'm guessing some people are still working in that office, but I'm sure it's probably stripped down a little bit. Not sure, but yeah, it's definitely less. And then I can tell you also, as this shutdown continues, I don't know. I don't really watch the news all that much. I like not being depressed, but as this continues, it's been what, 3 weeks, 4 weeks now, 3 weeks maybe. The people that are issuing the certificates are going to start to fall behind. So it's going to take longer to get your certificate, even though, again, it looks like some people in that office are still working, because I think the date is moving a little bit. So we'll see how much of a delay it creates. I think it's about 30 days behind now from the time you take the test or you submit the application to the time you get your certificate or they process it. It's about 30 days when I checked on Friday. So I don't know how this is changing over time. If I get a parachute for my Mavic 3, will it be easier to get a waiver to fly over people or moving vehicles? So it depends on the parachute that you get. For the Mavic 3, if it's not an enterprise parachute, it's not going to do much, because unless, actually, that's not true. I think Para Zero has a Mavic 3 parachute that uses a mechanical system to shut down the motors in flight so they don't create lacerations. And if I'm correct, it's no longer going to be supported, though, going forward, because Para Zero doesn't want to decided not to do business with DJI anymore. So yes, in that case, if you get that specific one and it is ASTM approved, then it would be easier to get a waiver to fly over people. Is there and by the way, that is not the same as a categorized drone. So that would not make the Mavic 3 qualify to be a categorized drone. It would just allow it to be used as with a waiver. Is there a waiver to fly multiple drones at once? Yes, there is. That's one of the waiverable regulation under 107.205. That's how drone light shows do their stuff. So yes, it is possible to get a waiver to fly multiple drones at once. I just passed the test using your class. Awesome. That's from Tech V2. I have an Avata and a Mini 4 Pro. What models would you add if my budget was very healthy? That's awesome. Don't want to go overboard, but also future-proof a bit. I would say it depends on what you're looking to do. If you're looking to do, thermal maybe, or if you're looking to do mapping, or there's a lot of options with obviously more expensive stuff. If you're looking to do videos and photos, then there's also different options. So it's hard for me to tell unless I know, what you're looking for. That's Jeff SAV says the AMA covers recreational flyers with insurance. What do you use for Part 107? Our case is a little complicated because we have insurance through the business for a variety of things, including our airplane, and so our case is atypical, I would say, as far as insurance. I think the AMA, if I remember correctly, they also have commercial insurance available. I might be wrong on that. Why do I think that? Maybe somebody can confirm who's got that. But as far as what to use, I would get quotes from, type drone insurance on Google, find like the top 5, and then get quotes from them and see what comes out to be the best. I think I talked about this last week. I have no allegiance to insurance providers, and I think neither should you have. And that's true for home insurance, car insurance, whatever insurance you have. They're all in the business of trying to make a buck off of you. So don't even talk about health insurance. And so I would say find the best deal that gives you the best coverage that you need and go with that. And then look at it every year and go shop around. Will opening a DJI drone factory in the US help? That's a good question. So I've talked about this in the past. I personally don't believe it would, and here's why. Right now, the DJI critiques are basically not happy because DJI is a Chinese-owned company. And I think building the drones in the United States does not change the fact that DJI would still be a Chinese-owned company. And so I don't think it changes the equation at all. I think the detractors want to see DJI gone so that they can have the markets to themselves. And there you have it. So I think that has nothing to do with security and nothing to do with anything else other than greed. And I don't think moving the factory here in the US would change the amount of greed that politicians and lobbying associations have. So there you have it. That's yeah, very unusual. You're right. Sorry, it's unfiltered. Does Polar Pro sell ND filters for DJI drones? Yes, they do. Actually, we've tested a couple of them over the years. It's been a while since we've done a good ND filter testing. I like those. It's fun because it's a kind of a technical thing, and I like doing those tests. Another question: if I'm done flying, should I go ahead and close the lance? No, you don't. You can't really. Once you get lance approved, you can't. I don't think you can close it. You don't have to. Any harm in letting it expire? I'm thinking about somebody flying a drone around and the FAA thinking it's me. No, I definitely would not worry about that. So the answer is no. You don't have to worry about it. I flew in an area that showed a FRIA zone with 700-foot ceiling. Do you automatically get to fly at that altitude or have to be part of whatever group get that approval? You need to go talk to the folks that get that approval because it's likely at an AMA field and they're going to want you to be on the property to be able to enjoy those privileges. And to be on that property, you're likely going to have to be a member and pay, which I disagree with, but it is what it is. So, yeah. Registered another DJI on my Part 107 dashboard today. It said that all my other drones, all DJI, needed validation on their device type. Was new to me. Sold my Vata 2 recently. Didn't see it happen. Why? I think something has changed. I need to get with Jason on that one and take a look at our drone zone. I heard a couple of people talking about this, talking about validation numbers. I'm guessing it's not just a DJI thing. I think it's them validating the serial numbers compared to the declaration of compliance serial numbers. So I guess their website got a little bit more fancy, which is kind of a good thing, I guess, if it works. So yeah, we'll have to report on that maybe next week. We'll have to take a look at our own stuff and see what happens. Is there anything in FAA registration that says a Part 135 pilot can supervise a drone flight over 55 pounds, like how a 107 pilot can supervise someone as long as they can immediately take control? No, I don't know actually. So Part 135, what you're talking about here is Part 135 has been given, approval has been given to drone delivery companies typically, historically, so far. I don't know what the rules are. My guess is that these rules are independent or specific to an operator, so it would be hard to tell. Part 135 is kind of weird because it was never really designed for drones, and so it's not the kind of language that I would expect to see in Part 135. So again, I think this would be the type of approval you would see in the final documentation approved by the FAA for that specific operator. So I don't know why that question was asked, but the answer is I think it's specific to that operation. Do I need remote ID if I fly my drone in the park? You need remote ID anywhere if the drone is over 250 grams and flown recreationally, unless you are flying in a FRIA, which is a FAA zone that is designated to not require remote ID. My friend asked me to record a fireworks show with the Air 3S with sound. Okay. Do you have any suggestion for an easy way to record the sound and sync it to the video? I mean, the sound isn't going to be all that great coming from the drone. Well, okay, so let's put it this way. If you want to record the sound of the firework from the drone, I don't think you're going to be successful because it's just all you're going to hear is the buzzing from the motors. And then every once in a while, a big boom that's going to be kind of covered by the sound of the motors. I would put microphones on the ground, set them up, and get an external recorder. You can do it with your phone using like a memo app, like a voice memo app, or get some fancier equipment to record. But I would not do it from the drone. I don't think the audio is going to be all that great coming out of that. Next question, FTFO Media. Thanks to your team and your support and knowledge. You are very welcome. Happy to do that. Keeps me sharp, keeps me on my toes to see all those questions. A lot of questions. I'm still not even close to being done. Does the Mini 5 Pro work with the new RC Pro 2 controller? Oh my God, I don't know. I have this love-hate relationship with all the controllers that DJI has, and how none of them are compatible with what you think they're compatible with. We made an article, I think we probably need to update it, that shows all the compatibility with every drone and every controller. I don't know if the RC Pro 2 is in there. I don't think the Mini 5 Pro is on there yet. So I don't know. I'm not sure. That's a good question to ask DJI support, actually. Cloud Camper says goat tea. Goat tea. Maybe. I don't know. If you're talking about a goatee, that's Ben. I'm not a goat tea guy. Will DJI be banned in the United States? The current threat to DJI is a possible addition to the FCC entity list, which would mean that future DJI models would not be approved by the FCC going forward. That's what we know. If this would happen on December 23rd of this year, if no audit has been completed by the US government, no audit of DJI. So that's when you hear the ban, that's what the ban is. And that's as concrete information as we have. Everything else is what's the correct word? A guess. A guess. With DJI possibly on the way out, again, not on the way out, keep in mind, added to the FCC list. Current drones, no problem at the moment. What's a solid base platform that you recommend for a do-it-yourself photogrammetry or modeling rig? I mean, if you want to make the thing yourself, there are plenty of ways to build your own drone and to have it controlled with, put a cube on there and use software to create the pattern and control the drone. So it is possible. The difficulty with building your own drone to record footage, and this is from experience, is getting rid of micro vibrations and being able to send that GPS data to the camera, although that's not overly difficult, but getting rid of the vibrations, mechanically getting rid of the vibrations on the payload is difficult. And we've tried. We've built a drone specifically to capture footage with it. We put a gimbal on it. We put all sorts of gummies, all sorts of ways to absorb the micro vibrations. And at the end of the day, it was acceptable, but it was nowhere near the image quality that you get from a DJI drone. And we spent several years doing that. So I'm thinking of trying to take advantage of the increasing scarcity of drone components and helping to keep them in the hands of hobbyists by creating a US-based small manufacturing business. Advice. Advice. I don't know if I have any advice. I'm not a drone manufacturing. I'm not a manufacturing expert, but of course, yes, I think it's a great idea. We need definitely US-based component manufacturers, no doubt. If this is something you've never done before, I would do a ton of research first. Definitely not an easy industry to get into. You're going to need capital to get obviously started on doing this, and finding all of the raw products and everything. Definitely a big undertaking, no doubt. But what they say about business and risk: the more risk you take, the higher the possible reward. Minut says, I'm a hunter and herding is a bad hunting technique. Unfair for the animal. Drone herding the animal under a auspicious of looking for a down animal would be bad. Yeah, I can understand that. Of course. I think, using any kind of tool to aid in hunting an animal, I think is you could probably call it unethical. But what I'm talking about is when the animal has been shot and trying to locate it to recover it, I don't see the bad in that, so that's the one part I don't understand. Will the FCC voting tomorrow to give themselves more power be delayed due to the shutdown? No, look at this. Government workers are not getting paid, but the politicians are getting paid. So all of these people are still working, still out there making rules, and still doing their job and still getting paid, while the rest of the folks are not. Makes a lot of sense, right? Avgeek Joe says, where is there a guide to learn all the features of the Mavic 4 Pro? It's so much fun. Did we release the Mavic 4 Pro deep dive? Amy, you worked on that one, right? Someone did. Oh, you were on the Matrice. I think we might have a Mavic 4 Pro deep dive on the website. And if we don't, it's been recorded and it's recorded, it's being edited. Okay. I know we got the Mavic 4 Pro kind of late, so unfortunately we don't have the deep dive yet, I think. Is the training PI you mentioned that you can take the 107 test cheaper at a direct PSI test? In the training you mentioned that you can take? No. Nope. The pricing is the same for PSI regardless of where you are. Now, if you are a vet or active military, you can take the exam, I think, for free on base at testing centers, but that's the only thing that I know. Otherwise, PSI does not give discounts. They love their millions. If I registered my drone via Part 107, I don't need to register it as recreational as well. Correct. That is correct. Yep, absolutely. Did we chat about DJI vacuums and cameras yet? No, we have not talked about DJI vacuums. I heard there were rumors about DJI vacuum. Did that come out? Don't tell Rick Scott. Okay? Do not tell Rick Scott, because he loves to suck. And so if he sees that there's a DJI vacuum, he's going to buy it. All right. Cameras. I also, again, I don't know. I know there were rumors of DJI making a digital SLR camera, but I don't know if, I don't think that's been out yet. Tell me it's out. I want to see that. I do want to see both of these things. Can you? He says tomorrow. Okay. Rumors of a DJI vacuum tomorrow. Again, don't tell Rick Scott. Don't tell Stefanik either, because she same. Can you recommend a legit retailer that sells the Matrice 4T without heavy tariff costs? I mean, the retailers that are going to sell these drones, if they have a tariff, it's because they were applied a tariff. There's a bunch of companies that we recommend for purchasing drones. In no particular order, we love all of them. Gresco, Drone Nerds, UVT, those are companies that I would look into. Adorama, yeah, I would definitely look into those. I'm sure I forgot somebody out there, but yeah. What size micro SD card do you recommend? 64, 128. So I have a bit of a mentality on this, a philosophy. 64, I think, is a sweet spot, and I'll tell you why. Because you can fit a ton of footage on a 64 gig camera, a card. 128, you can fit more footage, but if the drone goes down, you've lost more footage as well. So I think there's a sweet spot where 64 will get you pretty much an entire flight and then some of footage. I recommend that every time you land, if you have the time, that you download the footage or you swap the cards. So I would rather have two 64 gig cards for two different flights rather than one 128 card for one flight, for two flights, if that makes sense. So split your flights, two different cards. So if the drone goes down, at least you didn't lose all of your footage. I'm glad people are laughing at my Rick Scott joke. It's funny, I have a friend who comes to visit this Friday, and he used to be his private jet pilot. He flew him around the state of Florida for years when he was governor. Anyways, how come Congress doesn't ban phones that have Chinese parts? They could send a lot more stuff back to China. Could it be they don't want to be inconvenienced? Funny how that works. Yeah, so okay, let's talk about this. I'm sure we're talking about iPhones, right? So the how am I going to say that? The discussion here is that iPhones are owned by Apple, even though they're built in China. They're owned by Apple, which is an American company. So if the data was collected, it would be collected by Apple, which, you know, they are collecting data. They tell you that they're collecting the data. And so it's not the same to the detractors as a Chinese company that is building devices and potentially collecting data. So that's the difference. If people are asking, that's the logical difference between those two concepts. Is starting a drone business a good idea to start in the winter months? If you live in Florida, probably. It's a lot better, or in Arizona. I don't think it's a bad idea necessarily. Again, it depends on where you live. You know, if you're going to be grounded for the next couple of months because you can't go out and fly, then probably use that time to refine your business plan, to find more customers, to refine your skills before you start offering some services. Yeah, that would be my recommendation if you don't live in an area that has a mild winter. What prop guards should we buy for the DJI Mini 5 Pro to apply for a waiver to fly over people? There's not really a recommendation on prop guards. I mean, the Mini 5 Pro, I don't think has official DJI prop guards yet. We were talking about this with Vic a couple days ago. So, yeah, whatever you can find, I think. What would be the role of Part 107 in Part 135 delivery company? Depending on how they were approved by the FAA, they might be required to have a Part 107 certificate to fly under Part 135 rules. But again, that would depend on the company, I think. Yeah, somebody says Apple has servers in China. And by the way, I'm giving you the devil's advocate. I'm giving you the devil's advocate arguments here. I'm not taking a side on this logic. I was surprised looking into the FOP and FOMV, okay, so flying over people, flying over moving vehicle waiver, that it requires a 1 statute mile strobe during daylight, 3 statute mile at night. Didn't know a 1 statute mile probe was a thing. Is that common? Debatable. So we talked to a few FAA folks about this. I currently do not believe there is such a thing as a strobe light visible from 1 statute mile. I think you have to take that with the spirit of the law here. The spirit of the law is that the FAA wants you to be visible to manned aircraft when you are flying. And that visibility, they understand it as a number, which would be 1 statute mile during the day. As far as reality, I think it's very difficult to have a strobe light visible from that far with the current technology that we have. 3 miles is possible. We've tested actually 3 miles. We've done a test a couple of years ago, and we were able to see drones from 3 miles away at night. But yeah, 1 statute mile I think is a stretch. We've talked to them about this. I think this is a lost in translation kind of thing. Again, I think the spirit of the law and the intent is good, wanting to be visible from other aircraft. But I think in application, I don't think anybody would ever come and say, put your drone here, I'm going to go a mile away and I'm going to see if I can see it. That's not how the FAA does this stuff. So I think as long as you're trying to comply as hard as you can, I think that's good enough in this case. Like I like to say, good enough for government work. What is the best and the cheapest software to edit videos with a drone? There's a bunch. I mean, if you have a Mac, you can start with iMovie. And then you can do, I can never remember the name. DaVinci, thank you. I don't know why. DaVinci. Yeah, I know, because every time, because that's the only software I've never used, really. DaVinci has a free version that has the good basics. It's a good software as well. So yeah, I would look into those. Well, a few more questions. We're almost done here. Did you know that there is a drone manufacturing facility going on the military depot base in Texarkana, Texas, at Red River Army Depot? No, I did not. And that's cool. That's good to hear. I like that. Have you seen the Flock Safety Alpha drone, and what do you think? I have only seen headlines. I know it's headlined as being the fastest DFR drone, but that's all the details I have seen. I have been heads down on the airplane project for the last couple of weeks, and I have not looked very deeply into drone news other than what we report. I think we're going to talk about it this week because I think it came out after we published after we recorded news update last week. Can I get a lens for my vacuum? Yes. I've seen YouTubers post drone videos in national parks here in Smokies without a permit. Is that a no-no? Personally, yes, I think it's a no-no. I think it gives us the drone industry, a bad reputation, and I would call them out. Hello from the Bahamas. Awesome. Would you suggest the Air 3S or the Mini 5 Pro for a photographer? Ooh, good question. I haven't flown the Mini 5 Pro yet, but 1 inch sensor, one camera, one lens. Air 3S has two. I would say probably the Air 3S still, although Ben flew the drone and he flies both of them, so he might tell you. But he said that it flew very much like the Mini 4 Pro, which is a lighter drone, so a bit more nimble, but also probably doesn't do as well in the wind, would be my guess. Again, I'm making assumptions. I haven't flown it yet. Air 3S, a bit beefier, heavier. If you live in Bahamas, I'm guessing you probably has a lot of sea breeze over there. So probably the Air 3S would be better in the wind. That would be my only thing. And then again, two cameras versus one, different price as well, obviously, Air 3S. But I would probably choose the Air 3S. I think to me, the Air 3S is probably the best drone, and this is a big statement, the best drone for the money that has ever been made. This is probably the best drone for the money, period, for anybody recreationally or starting a business or even continuing a business. As a matter of fact, our friend Ken, who's been doing this for years, who charges a lot of money for his services because he's very talented, and he went from the Mavic 4 Pro back to the Air 3S because he thinks it's a better platform. So I think, yeah, just hands down to me the best drone. I haven't flown the Mini 5 Pro, but yeah, you got it. All right, it's 5:01. We passed it. And yeah, I'm trying to read a few more comments in here, but thank you all for joining, for sticking around. And then we will see you on Friday for news update. We'll be back on Monday for something else. More questions, more answers. Hopefully, no Rick Scott BS. And hopefully a DJI vacuum. That would be cool to see. I want to see how they're going to collect our home data now. All right. See you guys soon.